People who can hit 500 or above are doing a good 2 to 4, 2 to 5 deals consistently every single month for the year. What separates 7-figure and plus earners in recruiting versus 6 figures? In recruiting, especially in the agency side, what is the biggest difference between billing 6 figures on your own desk or billing 7 figures on your own desk? Again, a lot of this is based on my own experience, and I'm sure a lot of people have different experiences. From what I've done personally and from what I've seen and especially talked to people and network over the years, I think if you are a single standalone recruiter, whether you work at a job, you're independent freelance contracting, and you run a full desk end to end, it's very, very doable, especially in tech market full-time placements, to make over 6 figures, which is over $100,000. A lot of high performers, from my experience again, tend to kind of focus more on like the 2 to kind of the 500, and then people that are extremely high performers in equivalent or similar market doing similar or equivalent recruiting, which is full-time contingency placements. Anyone billing over 4 to 500, I would say is top performance. With that said though, there's many different types of recruiting out there where people by themselves are making the results that someone like myself is doing look like peanuts. I know people who are billing clearly over 7 figures, well over 7 figures, just on one desk alone without anyone else. No part-time helper, no VA, nothing. So I think with recruiting, just to kind of educate you if you're just kind of learning about the industry for the first time, what I do is honestly a small segment of the greater recruiting industry as a whole. We are a global industry. There's over 100,000 recruiters and it's growing. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's in every single market, which is pretty just mind-blowing. But from my experience, if you're doing full-time placements, contingency or retained, there's no reason why with a decent amount of work ethic, you can definitely clear 6 figures if that's your goal. If you want to start clearing multiple 6 figures, maybe 200,000 plus, maybe 2 to 500,000, it's still very, very possible to do it on your own, even with no VAs. How do I know that? That's just what I've done a lot over the years myself. The first year in recruiting, the first job that I got, I cleared over $500,000 on my own desk, no hand-me-down clients, built everything from the ground up. It goes to show you don't need to hire so many people in recruiting and full-time placements contingency to reach these types of numbers. I think if you are working for yourself, whether it's standalone, whether it's a freelancing contract, you're a single kind of headhunter recruiter, that's totally cool. But unless I feel like you're hitting these numbers, there's really no need for you to think of like hiring part-time VAs at all. You need to figure out how to optimize your basics so that you can consistently hit these sort of targets on an annual basis, because I know a bunch of people who are being able to easily clear over 6 figures, easily clear over multiple 6 figures, and a handful of people that can definitely do 500,000 or above. From 200,000 to 500,000, I think with enough of a basic system, with strong work ethic, with a good flow of clients and candidates coming in, you can definitely get that done. I think working alone again, I think clearing $500,000 or more, that's totally flexible again. I would say you're now in probably the top 5% recruiters out there in contingency recruiting, and hopefully another relatable or relevant industry like tech. Again, I could be wrong because I don't know too much about other industries, but what I do know is that people who are doing different types of recruiting with a different business model, they can easily clear 7 figures alone on their desk, which is mind-boggling. But let's just say for this video, for an example's sake, if you're doing something similar as I am, if you really want to stretch and try to hit the multiple 6 figures, maybe $500,000 or more, I would say then it's really, really focused on the basics, the system. $500,000 to $1 million is totally possible, but then it's really going to require you to have a really, really, really fine-tuned work ethic consistently, week in, week out, and be able to have a really good dependable system on reaching out, cultivating relationships with clients, new clients, bringing them in, converting them, and then being able to bring in people consistently to fill those positions quickly. It doesn't make sense if you can open up jobs. If you can't close them, you won't get paid. I think from 500 to $1 million, that's going to require more honed and built out systems on the client side and also the candidate side. I think People can, and they are, billing way more than 500 to a million by themselves, but it's around that point where you're like, hey, I know that what I'm doing is good. Maybe I can think of a VA, maybe I can think of a part-time, maybe even a full-time employee. But without even scaling too fast, it's certainly possible for the right person with the right work ethic to build a pretty good income for themselves without having to hire. And I think that's the best, because once you hire, your overhead, your expenses increase, stress increases, and then you just have to have an added pressure to perform. If you know what you're doing, you know how to find candidates, you know how to find clients, you want to just go and go crazy throughout the whole year, you can totally, I think 200 to 500 can be an reasonable goal for most people. If you're recruiting part-time, you want to do maybe a handful of positions and you have a full-time job. Again, if you know what you're doing, you know the basics, you'll be able to certainly clear 6 figures. Once you want to do more than that, you have to then think about VA, part-time, or how do I further optimize like the machine at my desk to be able to do things more efficiently and faster and consistently over time. The biggest difference between 500 plus is consistency, built out systems, and just not a spike of activity where you crush it January, March, and then you struggle April, May, June, July to find clients, and then you kind of do a handful of deals for the rest of the year. People who can hit 500 or above, from my experience, are doing a good 2 to 4, 2 to 5 deals consistently per month, every single month for the year. Once you're able to get past 500, even get close to 7 figures, at that point, if you want to hit 7 figures consistently, again, with the type of recruiting that I'm doing, full-time contingency, it's very difficult. It's possible, but probably going to be very difficult to be sustainable. At that point, you then have to start thinking about hiring more, maybe full-time, definitely VAs, definitely part-time, because you can't do it on your own. If you did, it's going to be very difficult to constantly do it every single year. Some years are great, some years are bad. What separates, I think, 7-figure and plus earners in recruiting versus 6 figures is 7 figures, you then have to focus on building systems that can support and ultimately a team that you can scale, where there's 1, 2, 3 people and beyond. I think to hit 7 figures and beyond, conservatively, it'll probably take one person, one recruiter maybe hiring, I think like a 2 to 4 people depending on the performance. Again, if it's a super high performing team, maybe you only need a team of 2, maybe you only need a team of 3. If it's more of a lower performing team, then maybe a little bit more, right? It's all about you based on your benchmarks and your performance. But in case you're curious about, wow, I'm in recruiting, I love working for myself, how do I scale this? What can I expect in terms of billing? I think the great thing about recruiting is that it's completely uncapped. It's based on your effort and effort alone. If you work hard, you work consistently, there's no reason why your business can take care of you, whether your goal is 6 figures, multiple 6, 7, multiple 7. At that point, then you can only really hit that with teams. You need to hire full-time people, you need to scale accordingly and be able to make smart decisions so that in whatever market you are, you can continuously grow while you continue to keep bringing in new business, keep bringing in new candidates, and then just build hopefully a very successful and efficient business. So 6 figures, multiple 6 figures, completely, I think in my opinion, possible to do by yourself. Even $500,000 or around $500,000 you can totally do by yourself. But if your goal now is to exceed that, to go close to 7 figures and beyond, at that point I would recommend that you look at maybe hiring other people to help you, because at that point your system, whatever it is pretty solid. You know how to develop a business, you know how to develop candidates, you know how to put the two together, manage the interview process well, rinse and repeat in a very efficient, smooth, consistent manner. And now you just have to duplicate that with hiring more people and just pray that everything else, the market, the economy, the world doesn't blow up. It continues to go and function and stabilize, and hopefully we can hit another upward bullish market soon. It's really, really important to plan ahead on where your desk is right now, where you want to go, and really, really like, what do you want in your business? I think as business owners, as entrepreneurs, as freelancers, it's very easy to think of the dream to be, I want to hire a team of 10 or 20. But you have to understand, the bigger the company gets, the bigger the revenue, 100%, but also the bigger the responsibilities and the stress. Some people, they don't even want to bother with that. They're like, hey, if I can clear, 200 to 400 myself a year, life is gravy. And for 99.9% of people, I think, in my opinion, should go for that. minimal stress, minimal risk, maximum flexibility. You can make your own decisions and life is good. But for people who want to scale and grow, I think first make sure that you know how to do the foundation well. Get the basics done right, because once you bring in people, it's going to complicate everything. Because if you're teaching them on a system that's kind of not working so well, then bringing in another person, 2 or 3, 4 heads would just exacerbate that problem and it just won't go away. In fact, more and more problems will arise with just more people in a bigger team. So hope this helps contextualize everything, give you a little perspective. Hope it motivates you, inspires you. If you're just getting started, recruiting is an awesome profession. It honestly changed my life for the better. And almost now coming up to 10 years, I love every single day. I love working with candidates, love working with clients, and we'll always find ways to do better and be better, pushing forward. So hope that helps. If you like this video, have any more questions, feel free to drop down a comment below. But thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.